Okay guys, today we are going to be talking about comparing and ordering decimals on 3.2. So if you have your reading book out, I need you to put it away. And for bell work today, I had you define the two vocabulary words that are on page 142. So the first word that you had to define was the word inequality. Somebody please tell me what you got for the definition for inequality. Gabby.
A mathematical sentence indicating that two quantities are not equal.
Two quantities that are not equal. So a mathematical sentence indicating that two qualities are not equal. So when we talk about that, what symbols do we think of? Dylan?
The things represent higher or lower.
The things that represent higher or lower. So we have the greater than and less than signs. And we'll write these down when we pull up notes in just a second. Okay, the second term that we talked about or defined today was equivalent decimals. Equivalent decimals. What does this phrase mean? Chase.
It is decimals that name the same number.
Okay, they name the same number. Good. All right. Okay, so go ahead and take your notes out for me, or open up your notes today, and we are going to compare, yes, and order decimals. Oh, it messed up. Of course it did. And today is October 21st. Do this quickly, please. I'm sorry. Okay, first thing that we're going to talk about today are the symbols that we use to show comparison. Symbols to show comparison. And Dylan mentioned the two of the ones that we're going to look at. And I can remember when I was young, I could never keep these two symbols straight. And now as an adult looking at it, I don't know how I would confuse them. So you have the greater than symbol. Make sure that you're writing this down. This is in your notes. Greater than. And you have the less than symbol. And then we have what? Who knows what the other thing is? Aaron?
Equal to.
The equals sign, which is equals to. Or you might say that as is equal to. So let's talk about these symbols a little bit more specifically. So when we're looking at the greater than symbol, yeah. we read number sentences from left to right, just like word sentences, right? So we read from left to right. And I can remember, and I'm sure that somewhere in your mathematical life, someone has done this for you.
What is that?
It's an alligator mouth, okay? The alligator mouth always wants to eat the higher number. Yeah, draw the teeth. It's always hungry and wants to eat the higher number. Now, when we're reading it, so to start off, without looking at the decimals, just looking at how to read the signs. So the open mouth is always open to the larger number, okay? So the way that we would read this is 5 is greater than 3. If we flip these numbers around and turn it this way, it's representing pretty much the same thing, but the way that we say this is different. Now it's, right, 3 is less than, 5. Good. So that's a quick review on remembering what those symbols are.
Is that all we were in?
No, we're going to continue to take notes. And you guys can keep going straight down your paper. I just have to add a new piece. Okay? Okay. So now let's look at it with decimals. Looking at it with decimals. Alright, if I were looking at the numbers 2 and 81/100 and 2 and 78/100, what am I going to look at to start my comparison? Topanga. Okay, so I started the 2. I'm going to read it left to right. Do they both have the 2 in common?
Yes.
Yes. So then I'm going to go to the next place value. What's that first place value to the right of the decimal? The tenths. Good, good, good. All right, so are they different? Yeah. So this is where I need to look at, I'm looking at the larger one. And if I were looking at this on a number line, and I were looking at 2 to 3, and in the middle is 2.5, right? In between those two, is 2 and 75/100, in fraction form 2 3/4. And I'm moving my way up. Right here I've got 2.75. Are any of these numbers going to go to the left of this? Or are they both going to go to the right? They're both going to go to the right. Which one's going to come first?
275.
2, yeah, it's 0.78. And that's going to be somewhere like right here, maybe. Okay? And then 3/100ths down the road, we're going to have 2.81, 2 and 81/100ths. All right, so 2 and 81/100ths is greater than 2 and 78/100ths. Yes, sir? I'm okay with that in your notes, but making a Pac-Man mouth in your notes, but when we actually do our assignment, I don't want you focusing on making Pac-Man mouths, okay? Because that's not what we're doing. Okay, let's stay focused. Okay, next thing I want you to look at, what if I had 8/10 and 80/100ths? Topanga? They're equal. How are they equal? How do you know that? Like a 0 here? So you're telling me I can put a 0 here? What? But that's not there. How can I add a 0? Jocelyn?
Because it's a tenth place, so it's always going to be like 10, 20, 30, things like that. And so you can always add a 0 to make it easier so you know what number. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that I can add zeros to the right of the last number to even it out to the other number I'm comparing it to? Okay, it has to be behind the decimal. So Josh, what if I had this number? What if this was there? Is that can I add zeros here?
No.
No, so I can only add it past this point, correct?
No.
Are there an infinite number of zeros?
No.
Yes. There are an infinite number of zeros. Right, so it's going to just keep going to the right. You can add as many zeros. So if we had 800 here, we could add 2 zeros. Correct? Okay. So my symbol I'm putting here is the equals. If we were looking at this in fraction form originally, this would be 8/10 and 80/100ths. I can add a 0 here. Whatever I do to the top, I got to do to the bottom, and add a 0 here to make it equal. Good work. Any questions about that so far?
No.
Okay.
Zama.
Yes, sir.
You have like the 0.80 equals 0.800, and you can equal.
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to add the zeros. If you can see that without adding it, you don't have to add the 0. But it helps us visually to understand where that's coming from. Okay, so that is with comparing. Now we're going to talk about putting the decimals in order. We're still going. 2 concepts, 1 day. They can get tricky. Okay? So let's look at these numbers. The first one is just the number 15. Okay, we're going to do this in steps. So the first thing that we're going to do is take the numbers as is, and we're going to line them up, instead of horizontally, we're going to line them up vertically. But we're going to line them up to where the decimals are matching, or the decimals are lined up. So I have 15. When you have a whole number, even though there's not a decimal there, is there an invisible decimal with an infinite number of zeros hiding?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so for right now, I want you to put a decimal right there, because you know that it's there. Okay, then we're going to write this 14 and 95 hundredths. Underneath that, 15 and 8 tenths. And the last one, 15 and 1 hundredth. Now, what is the most amount of place value spots that I go out to the right? Topeka? 2. So I'm going to put zeros on my numbers that don't go out that far to make it all even. Okay? After I've done that, it's a little bit easier to look at to compare them. And I'm going to put these in order from least to greatest. What is the smallest number here?
14.95.
14 and 95 hundredths. Write that one down. 14 and 95 hundredths. Put a little check by it, knowing that I put it down. So then my following three numbers that I have all have the whole number of 15. So now I want to look at the tenths place value with these three numbers, remembering that I'm going from least to greatest. Dylan?
I have a question.
Okay?
Why did you put that on the screen?
Because this is where I'm going to write them in order from least to greatest. What's my next number that I'm going to put? Miwan?
15.
15. All right. Now I'm looking at these two. If I look at the tenths place value, I have an 8 and a 0. One of these numbers is closer to 16. The other one is closer to 15. Which one is closer to 15? Jocelyn?
15 and 1.
15 and 1 hundredth. Leading my final one to be 15 and 8 tenths. And notice that I'm writing them with their original number. I'm not including the zeros. If you included the zeros, that's okay, but just keep in mind that you don't need to do that in your final answer. Okay, that's okay. It's okay. If you put them there, it's okay. Okay, I want you to try this one on your own. And that is a 5. Sorry, the pen just messed up. Yes, please. Here. It's going nuts on us. Hold on. Yep. Okay. I'm putting it up right now. Okay, so I want you to take a minute and order those from least to greatest. I want you to do what you need to do to be able to solve it. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this one, even if you haven't completed it. If I line them up using that process, I'm going to start here with the first number and put 35 and 600ths, 35 and 7/10, 35 and 5/10, and 35 and 849 thousandths. The largest place that they go out to is the thousandths, so I want to make sure that my other numbers match that. So I'm going to add zeros to make each of these decimals go out to the thousandth place. Each one of these starts with 35. So first I want to start by looking at the tenths place. And I'm going to order these from least to greatest. What is my smallest number, and in this case the number closest to 35? Yes, sir?
35.07.
So the first one I'm going to write is 35 and 600ths. Now I look at the rest of them. What's the next number? Hanga? 35 and 5/10. Good. The next one, Gabby? 35 and 7/10, leaving this one to be my last. If you do this process of adding the zeros on and lining them up like this, if this is a hard concept for you, I really think that this will help you. Okay? I'm going to give you the assignment that you're going to be working on. You're going to be working on pages 143 through 145. Hold on. And you're going to be working on numbers 1 through 29, odds only. And I'm going to write this as a reminder to you. Yeah. Pay attention to the instructions. It might be asking you to write it from least to greatest. Sorry. Or it might be asking you to write it from greatest to least. Please make sure that you read the instructions before you start.